Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast. I didn't repeat this time. Wow. Haven't done that in so long. Forgot to do the intro before the last show. Sometimes when you have guests, you totally forget what to do. So, did a little beer thing. You'll see it on my page. Maybe I'll include the audio for, special people. But welcome to the night before Thanksgiving. That's what she said. I'll stay as long as I can. So Dragon's Milk, I'm going to confuse. So Dragon's Milk out of a Goose Island mug and Founder's Backwoods Bastard out of a Sweetwater mug. Oh no, Jeannie and Deborah here. Oh my gosh, trouble. So, I don't know what she says. I just knew I wanted to show up. It's gonna be a strange Thanksgiving because probably in a quote unquote normal year, I'd be going to my brother and sister-in-law's house tomorrow, and my parents would be coming to town, but my parents decided not to travel and that they're not even going to do anything Thanksgiving, Christmas, just stay home. So that's what we're doing. One nice advantage of the situation. Hey there, gaming. Wow, like 3 people in the room. I'm all like flustered. Anyway, so we have this brand new kitchen, and you don't really get to know a kitchen until it's fully realized, it's fully there. We finally paid everybody and all the contractors are gone. And hey, Amy, I figured that might be you. So yeah, we got the appliances, which are all smarter than we are. It's like Terminator. We expect them to self-actualize at any point and try to kill us all because you got to hit like 42 buttons to get the oven working. You got a fridge that talks to you if you leave it open too long. The microwave, I'm used to microwaves where you just hit the 2 and you get 2 minutes. This one you have to hit the 200 start. I haven't figured out the reverse how to do it. And then we have what are those toys at those dumb movies? Oh, Transformers. Our dishwasher is got like 42 different settings on how you can put the different layers and levels. So what happened this morning, as common listeners to the show may know, I have some nerve damage from spinal surgery I had in 2001. And as a result, I have what we call zaps on my foot. Numbness, basically left leg back all the way down to my foot. So in the winter, proving my age, I get these zaps and I take gabapentin every day. And for a while, I was not taking it every day. And now I take it every day. And now I need to take like 2 during the winter because you wake up middle of the night and your foot's throbbing. And you just can't go back to sleep. So it was like 5 a.m. I got up. And I was like, well, I'll just go to the kitchen and I'll warm up some breakfast. And everything in there is so loud. So we used to have this wall between like the living room and the kitchen, and the wall is gone. And everything that happens in there, it just echoes like crazy. Like I should try to do a podcast from down there. I have a feeling like the echo would be just insane. And I'll get you back for all that snark in there. You can show me all the amazing Bourbon County high alcohol beers you can get in Nashville tomorrow. Well, I'm down here in Georgia where dumb rules. But anyway, everything I did this morning to make breakfast at 6 in the morning was super loud, and I believe I woke Allison up prematurely, and it just wasn't. I mean, one advantage of the work from home is you can kind of like take a nap in the middle of the day. So, okay, we'll do show of hands, people in the audience. So when you wake up in the morning, are you just up? Because for me, it takes, like a 16-ounce Pepsi Max and a good hour for me to get going. Like when it's warm enough, I like exercising in the morning because it's kind of brainless. Like I'll turn on a podcast. I won't even like notice if a car is coming in to hit me. But yeah, it takes me a while to get going. I'm pretty sure those Bourbon County Stouts will be for sale Friday, although some places sell them early. Coffee, yeah. We did get a new coffee maker, the kind that you can actually like set in advance to brew the following morning. I don't drink coffee, but Allison does, and she really digs it. I mean, I prefer to have a couple hours of being awake before I start my work day. I'm usually working like 9 to 6. And yeah, some mornings, of course, you end up sleeping a little later than others. But yeah, there's a good solid, it seems like 8 to 10 Bourbon County Stout variants. I know they only sell like a certain amount in different markets, but I'll ask, use the Thing Up Your Giants line. Nice. The thing is, coffee, like when I was growing up, my parents would serve coffee and I would smell it, and I liked the smell of coffee, but I've never liked the taste. It's always been the bitterness. And the problem, of course, as Chris well knows, a lot of stouts come with coffee, and I don't like the bitter so much. I know you can make coffee as sweet as you want. Pretty much make it into a milkshake if you want to, but I've never gotten into it. And I think initially I was like, well, it's weird that I'm drinking like a Pepsi Max at 7 in the morning, but I do it pretty much every day, so now it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's good to have one and then the other, just to, a little flavor comparison. And I did a massive beer shopping quick coffee thing. So my wife actually does half caffeinated, half decaffeinated, and recently she didn't have any decaf, so all caffeinated, and she was way too jittery. She likes to put like pumpkin pie spice on the grounds before making them. That's her thing. And she uses protein shakes because she's been having those as like her breakfast for the past, yeah. I know Chris likes bitter because he just puts in what he brings out of the world, right? But anyway, recent beer shopping, went to a local place and purchased probably enough, should be enough for a month. We'll see. With the COVID craziness, you don't want to go out as often as I have been lately. And I found that when I went out, I did not want to buy anything new. In fact, I only bought 2 beers that I've never had before. And one was called Cherry Dog from Pipeworks. And I decided to have it. I have a good excuse, when you watch football on Sundays from 1 to like 7, you're like, well, 1 o'clock, crack open a beer. So it was a cherry stout. I think it had cherry and chocolate and vanilla and lactose, because they put lactose in beer now. It's weird, but it gives a weird creaminess, I guess. But the name, like all these beers have dog in the name. They're like, there's a coconut version, there's like a chocolate version, there's a regular version, there's a cherry. So I had it as like a 16-ounce can, poured it, took a sip, and on the very back end of the flavor, it tasted like a wet dog smells. So not good. And I realized I don't have that. My palate is not so sophisticated, because as I had it and as it warmed up a little more, I noticed that really that flavor was like the stout bitterness mixed with like cherry. And that combination reminded me of the smell of a wet dog. So yeah, I'm glad I only bought one. I also got a quad that has a blackberry in it. It was a bomber that was like from 2016. It was $5. Yeah, I know. The funny thing is, so, Dragon's Milk, favorite beer. For some reason, friends of mine call it goat's milk because we had our goats. And there actually is a local beer called goat's milk, but it's a milkshake IPA, which is the worst style of beer ever created because it's like sweet and bitter, and no, not happening. Yeah. The breed of dog. Well, it's a mix of a Rottweiler and a Pit Bull with a little bit of Shih Tzu. Yeah, exactly. So I'm wondering, with obviously Biden having faked victory so well that even Newsmax has said that he's won, have people been kind of basking in the glow of the ironic MAGA-tears lately? I found a Twitter account called Coping MAGA, and it has all these really sad Trump supporters. And I had to enjoy it because one of them actually featured, hey, the term dragon's milk's been around since like the 15th century. And if that's what it is, I don't spit when it comes to this. This is what happens when you actually read the comments. But there was, it's a phenomenon as someone who's like a sports fan, I've noticed a lot, where people get like a tattoo of their team, like 2020 champions, when they haven't won yet. And then when their team doesn't win, it's the most embarrassing tattoo ever. Well, this guy had a Trump 2020 tattoo like on his leg. And his whole video was like an 8-second video, which was just him talking about liberal tears. And I was thinking, like, you get a lot of people, and I think Chris posted the Alyssa Milano, which is like the weird thing we're doing where, like, no, be really considerate of the Trump followers' feelings, and you got to consider them. And then when Bernie lost, you're like, fuck you, Bernie, you suck. And like anytime a liberal is slightly against your position, you're like, you're terrible and should die in a fire. But all these Trump supporters are like, no, be nice to them. They're people too. And what? I think I want to kind of roll around. For some reason, one of my cats loves it when like loose litter falls on the floor and he's just rolling around in that shit. And he's having the time of his life. And I'm like, you know what? I am having the time of my life rolling around at people who are sad that Trump didn't win. Because it reminds me a little bit of people who are religious and believe in Jesus, and the attributes they have for Jesus are nothing like what is in the Bible, although Jesus has like 18 personalities in 4 Gospels. But there are these videos that like all this thing, like Donald Trump, he's rich, he didn't need to be president, he did all these great things for black and brown people, and do great things for gay people. There's still some gay supporters of Trump. Makes no sense, but yeah, so fuck them. I mean, it did remind me a bit of like 2018, like during the midterms, like for the first couple of hours, it looked like the Democrats were getting hammered. And then by the end of the night, it actually turned out the way the polls kind of predicted, because the polls screwed us in 2016. So the same thing happened on election night, and there are a lot of people like, I'm kind of connected with the fantasy football community. There was one guy who made a bet and he ended up winning like $70,000 when Trump won last time because the odds were so against him. Around the time like I went to sleep on election night, Trump was favored. Like you could get 5-1, 7-1 odds that Biden was going to win. And it ended up like Biden even had a bigger percentage of the vote than Reagan did in 1980. Like the biggest, upset. I don't know if it's an upset, but the biggest taking out an incumbent that had happened since like FDR. But at the time, and after going, really, America? Like, okay, you voted Reagan in twice, and then you voted in W twice, maybe, like 1.5 maybe. And then you voted in Trump, and it's like, you really wanted more of that? But I was thinking like in terms of the people being disappointed, like the Trump they were talking about doesn't exist because he's never done a selfless thing in his life. So for him to sacrifice for America, like that's not his personality. I mean, he just pardoned a guy who he was pissed at because he lied to the FBI because, the Russia was a total hoax. But for some reason, some guy got arrested over lying about it because clearly you lie about things that are a hoax. That makes so much sense. But I was just, wondering about that aspect of things, about the meanness of the internet. Check out any YouTube comment section except on any of my videos and see the negativity out there and see the polarization. But when people talk about the polarization, they always seem to be like, let's be really nice to people on the right who don't want us to exist. Where they're like, if you lose, they're like, oh, we're going to come and kill all of you. Not everybody, but so many. Thank you for staying home. The thing is, and I've said this for months, like the staying home part is totally fine. It was a bit of a pain, 8 weeks of doing a kitchen remodel, but we chose to do that. Like that was our doing. That wasn't like a roof caved in. So, we asked for it. And I think overall we prefer being home. Like we haven't watched everything on Netflix. And because I work for a cable company, I have every not every streaming service, but I have every premium channel. So there's a lot of TV to watch. We have not run out yet. Although what's funny is we're actually rewatching the show Cougar Town. And we've really enjoyed it. And it is a very lighthearted comedy that was on ABC and then it was on TBS. And it lasted 6 seasons. And we finished all 6 seasons. And then we decided, because I hadn't started watching with my wife, I caught up with her, missed the first 10 episodes of season 1. We just started rewatching it because we needed a light comedy where a bunch of adults sit around and drink wine all the time, and that sounds great. Who does Chris need to message him? Well, Amy's here. I've been doing some research on an author named Abigail Schurer, who put out a book recently about teenage, I'll say girls in quotes because they're transitioning, so they're teenage boys, and about it being this crazy epidemic. And lately, Abigail's been going around and doing all of these, Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager and Candace Owens, and saying that her book was she's being censored. That's the big right-wing thing. I'm being censored because she wrote a book that she poorly researched where parents were worried because their children were wanting to transition and thinking that the kids had the rapid onset gender dysphoria, which is, those are words. But yeah, I saw the kind of right-wing freak out over somebody being censored when they weren't being censored, and they're being on Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast in the world. And Joe Rogan's like, "Ooh, men in women's bathrooms, that sounds terrible," without any actual like pushback. Like, how about one example where this has actually happened in the real world? Okay, but no. But I watched like 3 or 4 different YouTube videos from trans content creators talking about this terrible book. And hopefully I'll reach out and get one of them on to have somebody on to talk about it, because the premise of the book was that more people assigned female at birth are wanting to transition, but they're doing it because of peer pressure. And she was comparing like transitioning teenagers to like somebody smoking. Like it was not good. It felt like how the right wing sort of gave up on attacking gay people and said, "Oh, next we'll go after trans." And they're like, "Oh, but these are the good trans people. They're like the ones that are really quiet about it. And you can't tell that they're trans and they're adults and they made a decision." And I mean, this is somebody who went to like Ivy League schools, and her book was like, "Hey, I went to a bunch of TERF sites and parents said that they were freaked out about their kids becoming trans. Therefore, something bad must be happening." And basically telling these parents like, yeah, you should have the right to tell your kids the way they feel is not the way they feel. And the idea that no one who is, and it's a really tough thing to say, like, there are examples of people who transition and decide that was a mistake, but it doesn't seem like it's a very big number of people. And to say that the teenager can't make that decision, but the parent, who's in most cases seems kind of prejudiced and bigoted, they can make the decision. Maybe not the best call, but it's intriguing how much it's all this right-wing people saying they're being censored, and then people like Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi are like, "Yeah, you're being censored. Yeah, we should tell the Hunter Biden story," when it turns out there's no truth whatsoever to it. At some point, there has to be a line. Like and this is basically another way of just telling trans people that the way you feel isn't the way you feel. This happens to atheists too. Like, religion is still a thing. Like, if you heard that speech from Biden, like he was Jesus, God, 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 and God bless our troops, of course. So do we have a place? Even, I'm still going to feel pretty good. I'm going to wait until maybe January 21st. We don't have a proofing drawer in our oven, but we do have a proofing setting. And we wouldn't even know what proofing is if we didn't watch the British baking show. And yes, we're mad that Netflix only shows 1 episode a week. That's ridiculous, We don't, I think we liked Game of Thrones the way it was done, where it was like a new episode every week, because we would watch the previous episode and then the new episode. And that was like 2 to 3 hours a week. That was good. But with shows like the British Baking Show, they film that stuff in like 4 days, right? And they make it seem like they come back every week, but they seem like they're all wearing the same clothes for the entire show. Just saying, that might be a quick thing. So for them to do, 1 show a week is a little annoying. But we need that because it's all these super, super dramatic dramas. Like we watched The Queen's Gambit, which is about a woman who was a chess Prodigy. Now, this is fiction. This wasn't based on a real person, but it was really good. It was a little long. They always have these shows on Netflix that are like 8 hours, and they could have done them in 4. And this could have been 4. I mean, the only thing strange about the transition from Trump to Biden is neither of them drink, but that's about it. But it is funny that, as Chris knows, I've been listening to a lot of Behind the Bastards, and I listened to an episode about the astrologist who was hired by Nancy Reagan to help her and Ron out when he was president. And you know, when he became president, Reagan, in 1980, people were like, dude, you're old to be president. You're 69 years old. And now we have a 78-year-old incoming president after, I don't know how old Trump is. Trump's hair is 3 days old, but he is 78. A weird thing. So they did an American version of the British Baking Show that had Paul Hollywood, but they started showing it, and they actually had a local person, an Atlanta person, in the show. They stopped showing it because one of the co-hosts got in trouble for like sexual harassment, you know. So I'm kind of surprised that host hasn't done the rounds and been on a bunch of atheist podcasts, because they really love those kind of guys. But it was sad that they had an American version and then they didn't show it because of one of the hosts being an ass. And those Brits just don't seem to have, well, they have, everybody has issues, I suppose. Yeah, but there was an episode recently of like the British Baking Show, and I think the baker was gay, and he pointed out that Paul Hollywood was gay, and I was like, really? We're like 10 seasons into this, and it's never been a thing. It's just he is who he is. And in a way, it's like, well, I guess that's normalizing, because normally when someone's a host and they're gay, they got to be like over the top a little bit. And he's just this stodgy, you know, baker dude with super silver hair. But yeah, I did just finish reading the book, The Good Lord Bird. And I'm looking forward to seeing the TV show, because I saw a trailer and Ethan Hawke as John Brown sounds like the just go for it all stars. And sometimes you just want to watch something where one of the actors is just going for it. And it's so fascinating that during that time period, the people who were pro-slavery were Christians. And then John Brown believed he had this connection to the Almighty, and he was fighting against slavery. So God couldn't lose, basically. Is the silver hair real? Well, I'm not quite 50-50 yet, but I definitely have a good amount of the silver going. So but yeah, I've been wondering, because of the negativity of like making fun of the Trump voters who are crying and are out of their minds, it seems, because the Trump they're crying about doesn't exist. But I've been listening to a lot of that Behind the Bastard show, which is all about like the worst people in history. It kind of starts in history and then it becomes like the worst people online. So I listened to an episode about Dave Rubin, who I never really paid attention to. I just think people have been making fun of him for so long, and he's just like the gay version of David Smalley in a way, although I think Smalley, sorry, but probably a little more talented than Rubin. But both sound like people that if you saw their stand-up act, you would go, you are the worst stand-up comedian ever. Because Dave Rubin was a stand-up comedian, and then he worked on the Young Turks, and he was on the left, and then he became like, he led the way of like, I am a classical liberal, but I believe all these right-wing things, and I'm anti-abortion. I'm kind of against my own existence because I'm gay for some reason. And I have Ben Shapiro on my show who says I can't come to your wedding, but we can be friends. He's such a jackass. He just seems light. Dave Rubin seems like the kind of person who doesn't have any beliefs. Like in Hamilton, when he was talking about Burr, like Burr has no beliefs, he just wants power. That seems like Rubin just wants to be famous and make money and have no substance whatsoever. It's the other people that have been on the show recently that I've been following for a while, like James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, and then Andy No, who's also a weird story in that he initially was involved with like the FFRF and was an atheist and got very anti-Islam, and now is like working in concert with the Proud Boys, who, as a gay guy from Vietnam, should know that like if the Proud Boys actually get any kind of power, they're gonna go after him. Like at a certain point, he's just not going to be on their pro list. But both Andy No and James O'Keefe both really believe like these culture wars that we make fun of. Like we make fun of the stuff Trump says, and we make fun of the things that Ben Shapiro gets mad at. In the past 2 weeks, we have Harry Styles wearing a dress. Did I know who Harry Styles was before? No, but I do now. A man wearing a dress. Oh my God, crazy, crazy. That WAP song, I won't say what that stands for, and Ben Shapiro getting freaked out about that. And then Jordan Peterson having a new book. And by the way, who ghostwrote that book? Because that dude, I don't think he can put together a sentence right now. But there's a new Jordan Peterson book, and the story that came out was that people at the publisher were crying over the fact that Jordan Peterson got a book contract with them. And everybody's acting like, hey, left-wing people are all snowflakes. And I'm like, well, good, because in the past 2 weeks, it's only been right-wing people who have been snowflakes. So good. We can be snowflakes too, even though it's like, if you work at a publishing company, you got to know that they could publish some real assholes, and it doesn't matter what they believe in. It matters how many damn books they can sell. And I guess Jordan Peterson still will sell books. I don't know. It seems like he died. Well, it's nice to have a Latino as Secretary of Homeland Security. I just wish we wouldn't have Homeland Security anymore. I feel like we've, grown the government. I'm kind of wondering, like, when is it going to turn? Like the, I can't believe that my content would lead to that. I'm guessing, despite what I've been saying. So congratulations, Amy. I tip my beer to you. But see, now I've lost my way. I was wondering, the people who have kind of been giving Trump the pass, the kind of centrist types, are going to start going after Biden. Like, oh, everybody's giving Biden the pass. It's like, well, yeah, Biden's talking in complete sentences. We are still in shock and awe that someone who's running for office as a coherent thought and actually is saying, hey, I'm going to do something, and then they actually do it. That's going to be weird, as opposed to Trump and his, maybe his healthcare plan will come out, like once he's out of office, that maybe that'll happen. I can't remember which one of these I like better, like, because so a couple of years ago, this Backwoods Bastard, this is a beer that like Founders made a few years ago, and it came out, and I thought, oh, this is a limited edition beer. So I went out and bought as much as I could. And it turned out this is a year-round beer. It's available in stores just about all the time. And I bought a ton, and it was just sitting in my closet. Well, I did drink it in a few months. But, sometimes that happens with beer. You think there was an era where stuff was in a store and it just flew off the shelves. And now that doesn't happen anymore. It's a great era until all these breweries, like a ton, like restaurants, are just going to shut down because Congress can't just tell people, hey, we're going to shut down for like 3 months and we're going to pay everybody a certain amount a week, which is what other countries are doing. Instead of giving all that money to our buddies, which is what Trump did with the first round of COVID money, give people another $1,200 check, let's say every week until this is over. And you know what people are going to do with that money? They're going to buy stuff and they're going to keep businesses alive. Hopefully small businesses, not big businesses, because Amazon's just killing everything right now. And I don't want there to be just like 2 giant big box beer stores in town and that's all there is, because that would suck. Yeah, healthcare. The thing is, you wonder, there's still a bit of battle. Like, they're trying to like frame the Democrat Party like, no, we got to stay in the center because all those really lefty people are why we didn't win as much. I still think the Democrats are not paying attention to the smaller races and they're losing. And now my state is the focus because I live in Georgia, and both of our current senators are total 100% Trump-loving crooks. And they have a probably like 70% chance of winning. And the Democrats need them both to win. By the way, they keep saying like if the Democrats win, it's going to be 50-50 with Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker. How about that West Virginia guy who's like mostly a Republican? Like, they can have so much power. So even like we need a very unlikely thing to happen for 2 senators to win. And then everybody on the Democratic Party, and you know the Democratic Party, it's like every time like unqualified 33-year-olds are up for lifetime federal judiciary appointments, they don't even pass the bar, like 7 Democrats vote for them. So are all the Democrats actually going to come together on some real legislation that helps American? Georgia has peaches. The weird thing is, for years, you'd go to the store and they would have like California peaches. Like, I don't, and it makes sense to me. We have fruit. We have beer. Actually, these 2 beers, let's see. They're both Michigan beers. Weird, huh? The state where Trump lost, but then the 2 people who voted like went to the White House and then they were like chugging Don Perignon. I can't pronounce stuff. We're bad at that. I don't know. You know, I totally forgot. So tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So here's what used to happen. So my family is all from Pittsburgh, but my uncle moved to Houston and my dad moved to Nashville. And then my uncle ended up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my dad lived in Nashville. So we would go to Baton Rouge or to Nashville. We would rotate for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And we would get together and it would be me and my older cousin and then my younger cousin, my brother, and my uncle and my dad. We would play football every year. And my cousin and I were probably the better athletes. The thing that sucked is my younger cousin was younger than everybody by like 5 years. So he would catch the ball and we would play 2-hand touch. And my dad and uncle would always tackle him to the ground, make him cry. We'd go inside. We have to talk him into playing again. And then we'd tackle him again and make him cry. And we'd always have, I only remember that we had like turkey, we had stuffing, which by the way is not stuffing, it's dressing. I'm sorry, I've learned things. We'd have like 50 pounds of mashed potatoes that always disappeared first. And I'm not even sure if we had a vegetable. I don't think we had any cranberries. So living in the South, as I have for forever, since 96, my goodness, almost 25 years, the sides are really the star of Thanksgiving. Now, we did get a turkey and we are defrosting it and we're going to be making it in our new super high-tech oven tomorrow. But it's all about the sides. So there's going to be dressing and there's going to be mac and cheese and there's going to be mashed potatoes. I have 10 pounds of potatoes. That's probably just enough for me. And then pumpkin pie. And I'm trying to think of what else. We do have cranberries. And I think we have stuff to make green bean casserole. And green bean casserole feels like a very Southern thing because it's like green beans. They're green. They're healthy. You mix them in with basically mushroom soup. And you put those fried onions on top. So, you know, you basically take a vegetable and you make it as unhealthy as humanly possible. But yeah, mac and cheese was like something I don't even think we had like the orange version growing up. Like I wasn't really a cheese person until maybe my 20s. Like I don't know why. I could have cheese in a pizza, but I wouldn't have cheese in a burger. And now I'm a big cheese guy. I will make my meatballs on the big green egg and I will throw a bunch of cheese in there and I'll make my Sunday gravy sauce and, it's all good. Turkey sucks. So we'll find out. The thing is, like, the turkey would always need a lot of gravy. And so I hope we have enough gravy. So even the cranberry. Yeah, we have cranberries. And actually, cranberries are good. The only, like, I had this thing with cranberry because during my hospitalization, when I got out of the hospital, and I feel like this is one of those things where I'm like, drink, let me talk about being in the hospital. When I was coming out, I had lost a bunch of weight. I was down to 160 pounds. Now I'm at like 185. Oh my. Yeah, we having some fun there in the chat room. But so I needed to intake as many calories as possible. So they really didn't want me to drink water. They wanted me to drink juice. So they had this refrigerator available and they would have like grape and apple juice. But the juice that was always the last one in there was cranberry. So I had to drink like 2 to 3 things of cranberry juice a day. And I just got sick of it. And I did not like the taste anymore. And you know what? Now, if I had a beer with cranberry, I might like it. But during that time period, cranberry just was not. Either way, I'm down. See? Making friends and influencing people. That's really how it works. So how many people in the chat room are going to buy Jordan Peterson's new book when it comes out? 12 more rules to life? Yeah, exactly. It's good for bladder cleanliness. I think somebody posted to Facebook. It was a picture of like pumpkin pie, and it was a pumpkin pie by itself, pumpkin pie with just a little bit of whipped cream, a pumpkin pie covered in whipped cream, and then a pumpkin pie absolutely drenched in whipped cream. I think I'm between 3 and 4 when it comes to that. So I've always been a pumpkin pie person. My family used to make like 2 pumpkin pies and I was going to have one and the rest of the family was going to have the other one. And they always had Cool Whip, which I never really liked. I like the canned whipped cream. That's my style. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to make it. Like it used to be in the family, we would watch like the first half of the football game. I know football, whatever. But the game would always come on like early, and then at halftime, my gosh, everybody's got issues here with fiber and UTIs. The personal stuff, keep it coming. It's good stuff. Gosh, where was I? I think I finally lost it for good. But yeah, whipped cream. No, whipped cream on pumpkin pie. I know I've heard from some people that you don't put whipped cream or ice cream on pies, but come on. It's the same thing, bro. So, Chris, what kind of feast are you putting together tomorrow? Yeah, I need to figure out how to make... Yeah, exactly. Football, the gayest sport. Well, kind of. Although, actually, there aren't any, I think, out gay players. I'm kind of surprised. Like, there have been some players who have retired who have come out as gay. It's just football ends up being so Jesus-y. I'm drunk. Thank you. It's Wednesday night. Come on, man. I can talk to you guys sober. I'm sleeping. Cheddar, huh? I see. Yeah, that's another thing about Thanksgiving. It's always been a very traditionally, the women cook, and they even like cleaned. But now, hey, we got our place. We're doing it ourselves. We're making everything, I believe, everything from scratch tomorrow, so that should be fun. We have a bunch of like cookbooks in here, which is great. QB his head and hands right up a dude's ass. Well, I think that was one of Robin Williams' lines where the center talks to the quarterback. He's like, "Why haven't you called?" Yeah. Like it's super masculine, but at the same time, maybe not. It's proof that you got to care. But yeah, there are 2 games tomorrow. Actually, one of the games got canceled because one team basically came down with COVID, which is happening a lot. Holiday tacos. I like the idea of doing other things. I mean, we did get it. The thing is, I end up going for like what's cheap when I'm shopping, and turkeys are cheap as hell. They're like 40 cents a pound or something this week. So we bought a giant turkey for the 2 of us, which is crazy because we're probably going to have to freeze a lot of it. But, whatever. That's what we do is just cook a bunch of food and then have leftovers and hope we can eat it all. And after we had been ordering, like getting Chinese food and frozen pizza for the last 8 weeks, having home cooked food, even if it is leftovers, has been a blessing. I tell you, it's been a blessing. I can't. You don't get holidays, huh? Well, it's been only 45 minutes. Anybody else have any questions? I can't believe I've kind of random. Turkey works if it's like drenched in gravy. So anything that needs gravy on it probably isn't that good. But yeah, it's like the mashed potatoes go first, and then the gravy goes, and then you're like, oh no, now the rest of the turkey's kind of dry. So what do? You put butter on it, right? I mean, I recently made lemon pepper wings, and all it is the lemon pepper seasoning that you buy for like $1, and then you put some butter on it and parsley. So boom. So there you go. I think are we brining it? I don't remember. We put it in the fridge like 2 days ago, and it's still not. It's going to need to be defrosted tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes. We may be eating at 9 p.m. after we finished watching The Good Lord Bird, like the entire season, because I feel like that's gonna happen. Although we may finish rewatching Cougar Town 6 seasons by Friday at the Wet Ass Turkey. Exactly. It needs to be moist. And you know what does it? Brining is amazing. Like learning that with chicken breast, because chicken breast can be so dry. Brine it, put it in some damn butter, just soak it in some kind of sauce, and you're going to be totally fine. Yeah. Our turkey's like 12 pounds, 14 pounds. Exactly. But okay, it's been about 48 minutes. It's been good. So I should try to find guests for next week. I've got a couple potential, but I definitely I want to reach out and see how it goes. But thanks for being on, like having 4 people in the chat room and actually reading your comments as you go. It's been a lot of fun. So thanks everybody for showing up. I still have beer, so I'm gonna go take care of that. If you need to exit. I've heard moisture is important. Right, ladies? Anyway, thank you for checking out the Zachrilege Cast, and you're not going to go online and follow me anyway. If you want the bitter side of me, go to my Twitter account, go to my Facebook, and we'll try it again next week. And have a good weekend, everybody.